In 2022, if you bought a new BMW in the UK, there was already a heating element built under the seat beneath you. You had not asked for it, the wire went in when the factory was putting it together anyway, because it's much cheaper to do one seat than two. To switch it on, you paid $17 a month. Not 17 once, not 17 a year, $17 a month, every month for as long as you wanted a warm seat. So I went looking for someone to blame for all this. What I found was not a greedy car maker, it was a company that had run out of new things to sell you. And BMW was not alone. In those same years, Europe's biggest car makers were losing China, the biggest car market on earth. So what does a $17 seat warmer have to do with that? Start with one company. In 2021, Porsche delivered 95,671 cars in China. Last year, it delivered 41,938. More than half of the business gone in 4 years. Porsche did not lose a lawsuit or close a plant. Its customers just went somewhere else. Volkswagen is the same story, just larger. Volkswagen was the best-selling car maker in China for more than 25 years. Then BYD passed it. Then Geely passed it too. And this summer, it stopped being a decline and became a collapse. Volkswagen, Mercedes, BMW and Porsche all reported China sales down by as much as 41% in a single quarter. All four of them at once. Here is the objection. I had to clear this first because it is the obvious one. Maybe Chinese drivers simply stopped buying cars. They did not. China took 35.6% of the global car market last year, a record. More than 1 in 3 cars sold anywhere on Earth. What happened was they stopped buying these cars. In 2020, foreign brands sold more than 60% of the cars in China. This June, they sold 24.5%. Wang Qian, a deputy general manager at the Dongfeng Nissan joint venture, called it a scenario unimaginable 3 years ago. Hold on to those 2 words, joint venture. Since 1994, no foreign car maker could build a car in China alone. Beijing required a local partner on a 50-50 split, and the engineering came with it. Europe took that deal happily, and those buyers did not evaporate. Every one of them still bought a car. Somebody built it, and somebody decided what to put in it. So if the customers are still there, what are they buying instead? The comfortable explanation is that Europe got undercut. That this is a story about price, which is not really losing, it is about being outspent. The evidence for this is strong. Last year, BYD switched on driver assistance across 21 models and charged nothing for it. No subscription, no price rise. The cheapest car that got it sells for 69,800 yuan, about $9,500 US. BYD's founder, Wang Chuanfu, put a deadline on it. Within 2 to 3 years, he said smart driving will be as essential as a seatbelt and an airbag. Free driver assistance on a car that costs less than a European family hatchback against a seat warmer you rent. For about a week, I thought that was the whole video. Cheaper car, more equipment, case closed, right? It is a clean explanation, and it lets everyone off the hook. Europe did not get outthought, it got outspent. Then I read what Chinese buyers actually say. McKinsey surveys them every year, and the finding that changed my mind was this. Technology now moves buyers more than discounts do, and 69% call advanced assistance driving a must-have. What drives purchase decisions now, McKinsey's Thomas Fung said, is higher value, not lower prices. Higher value, not lower prices. Go to the top of the market and it still holds. The Xiaomi YU7 built by the phone company costs about $35,000 US, and every version of it, including the cheapest, comes with a laser scanner on the roof and a screen 1.1 meters wide. These cars also do not stop changing after you buy them. Last year, BYD sent roughly 200 software updates over the air to its main model lines. Volkswagen sent 5. So the price theory explains the $9,500 car, it does not explain the $35,000 one. Volkswagen's own China chief, Robert Cesek, said it more gently than the numbers do. Maybe some younger customers, he said, perceive them as a brand for the parents. That was never a price problem, so what was it? There is a harsher explanation, and it is the one most people reach for. Beijing bought the win. No Chinese car maker grew up alone. The government has been writing checks to this industry for a very long time. The Center for Strategic and International Studies added this all up. Between 2009 and 2023, Chinese government support for the electric car industry came to $230.9 billion US, with a B. That is not a Western talking point. Europe has formally ruled on it. The European Commission's own investigation found that the battery electric vehicle value chain in China benefits from massive unfair subsidization, and it put duties on Chinese-made electric cars in October of 2024 because of it. So the cynical answer is sitting right there, signed by a regulator. This is where it would be easy to be unfair, so let me be honest. Every rich country does this too. The United States paid buyers up to $7,500 to take an electric car home, right up until the credit was killed last year. Germany spent 10 billion euros on electric car subsidies, about 11 billion before pulling the plug overnight in 2023. No one in this story has clean hands. The question is whether the money explains the result. And of course we note too that the numbers in China were much bigger. Rodian Group tried to measure exactly that. It priced BYD's cost advantage over Tesla at roughly $4,700 a car and found direct subsidies account for about 5% of it. Subsidies matter, the authors wrote, but less than often assumed. And look at what all that money actually bought. If Beijing were simply funding winners, the industry would be rich by now. Chinese car makers run on a profit margin of 4.1% last year. By the first 2 months of this year, it was 2.9%. In 2024 alone, 227 models cut their prices. That is not a subsidy. That is a knife fight. Beijing is trying to stop it. There are no winners in a price war, the ministry that regulates the industry told its own car makers. Nor is there any future. So the checks are real, and they are still not the answer, which leaves the uncomfortable question. If it is not the price, and it was not the money, what did China have that Europe did not? This is the part you cannot see from the showroom. The real advantage was never money. It was time. McKinsey puts a new car in China at about 2 years from start to production. In the West, it is closer to 4. Read that back as a race. In the time a European company finishes 1 car, a Chinese company finishes 2. And the second one already answers every complaint customers had about the first. Renault built its new Twingo in 100 weeks, the fastest in company history, by running the work through an engineering center it set up in Shanghai to borrow that speed. There is a physical piece to this too. A battery pack costs about 1/3 less to build in China than in Europe, and the battery is the most expensive part of an electric car. Ford's chief executive, Jim Farley, has flown to China again and again to look at what they have built. His verdict was blunt. It was, he said, the most humbling thing he had ever seen. Now hold all of that against what Europe was doing with the same 4 years. Stellantis told investors it wanted 20 billion euros a year in extra software revenue by 2030, about $23 billion US. Mercedes started selling horsepower, $60 a month to unlock acceleration the motor could already produce. And BMW rented you a heated seat. To be fair to BMW, its defense was true and worth saying out loud. If you ordered heated seats with the car, they worked forever. The subscription targeted people who had not. BYD also killed it about a year later. Customer acceptance, a board member said, was not that high. Surprise, surprise. People felt they had paid twice. But the retreat is not the interesting part. The idea is, Europe was asking how to get more money out of the same car. China was asking how to get more car out of the same money. European car parts suppliers announced 104,000 job cuts in 2 years. That is about 142 people every single day for 2 years. Suppliers are not brands. A supplier is usually a town. Then the assembly lines. Volkswagen agreed to cut more than 35,000 German jobs by 2030 in a deal its own union signed. Then a place. Audi's Brussels factory closed after 76 years. Not one of those people ever charged anybody for a seat warmer. They just built the car it was bolted into. Europe saw this coming and built a wall. So why is the wall not working? This June, Chinese brands took a record share of the European market. More than 1 in 10 cars sold, roughly double their share a year earlier. In the first half of this year, BYD registered more cars in Europe than Tesla. Because a tariff is a tax on imports, so they are building the cars inside the wall. BYD's plant in Hungary cost about $4.6 billion US. It starts assembling cars in the final quarter of this year. XPeng builds its cars at a contract factory in Austria, so they never cross the customs border at all. But the factories are the boring half. Look at which direction the knowledge is flowing. Volkswagen paid $700 million US for about 5% of XPeng, not an investment, as tuition. Europe's largest car maker is paying a Chinese startup to teach it how to build a car. Together, they rebuilt Volkswagen's Chinese cars from the electronics up, and the man running Volkswagen's software unit in China put the gap plainly. In Germany, Frank Hahn said it would have taken at least 3 to 4 years. They did it in 18 months. In March, the first car the two companies designed together rolled off the assembly line in Hefei, 24 months from start to production. An analyst in Shanghai, Zhang Yu, gave the whole arrangement its name. He called it the reverse joint venture. Which brings me back to the $17 a month. Europe taught China the assembly line. Europe taught China the crash test, the paint shop, the supply chain. Europe taught China that a badge on a hood could be worth more than the metal underneath it. For nearly 30 years, the joint ventures ran one way, and all of it flowed east. Then, Europe ran out of new things to build and started charging you again for the things it had already built. China spent those same years building the next car. The badge on the front of your next European car will still say Munich or Wolfsburg. The engineering behind it will say Shanghai. If you made it this far, there is a second half to the story, why BYD's cars are so cheap and how China pulled it off. Click the video up here on the screen to find out.